Hey, Mr. Chairman. Chairman of the PC, could you keep your folks quiet, please?
I go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is our December 7th Town Council meeting. Have a roll call, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards. Here. Woods.
Present.
Lee.
Here.
Cottle.
Here.
Casanello.
Present.
Aiken.
Here. Hey. Our next item is our invocation. We have Stuart Gilman from Ner Shalom congregation that if you'd like to tell us a little bit about the congregation and a few words there.
Mayor, council members, and citizens. My name is Stuart Gilman, and I'm here on behalf of Congregation Ner Shalom, which is the oldest Jewish community in Prince William County. Located, we have a building right across from Hilton High School. We've become a strong part of the community over the past 50 years. Sadly, our Rabbi David Levine had to be out of state, and I was asked to provide an invocation, and I thank you for inviting Congregation Ner Shalom, and for me personally, to this meeting this evening. We can bow our heads. Thank you, God, for bringing us together this day. Remind us that with all of the problems we face, how many blessings we really have. With the tragedies of Paris and San Bernardino, it is too easy to become cynical and afraid. We seek your wisdom in preserving the values and symbol of America, rejecting fanaticism, whether religious or political. This week, you commanded Jews to celebrate the Festival of Lights, which is a festival of freedom. It's a festival of freedom from tyranny. In an important way, we are gathered here also celebrating freedom through the exercise of democracy. And it is especially fitting on this day, the 74th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, to thank all of those who have sacrificed and served in uniform and in government to preserve our freedom and our way of life. Help us to be mindful that representative government is a gift, and that in 1,000 town halls like this around our country, we have the ability and responsibility to express ourselves freely. Too many in the world are voiceless victims of unfettered power. Our blessings are many. God, give the servants of the citizens deliberating here tonight the ears to hear and the wisdom to carry out in balance the obligations you have set before all of us. Charity, kindness, justice, and mercy. Blessed is the Lord our God, sovereign of the universe, who sustains the entire world with goodness, kindness, and mercy. And with that, we say, Amen.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next item is our Pledge of Allegiance. If we could all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our next item is our citizens' time. If any citizen would like to speak to the council, if we could just come up to the mic there and just state your name and address for the record. And not seeing any. I'd like to also recognize that we had Mr. Andrew Thomas Robinson, referred to as Mr. Tommy, passed away this month, in November, at the age of 95. He was, I believe, one of the longest living residents of Haymarket that lived in our town for almost 60 years. You could know him by, he had a blue truck that would drive probably about 10 miles an hour through town and served at the Baptist church there as a deacon and as a member. My understanding also, at the age of 3 weeks old, he was brought into their nursery there back in the early 1900s, and born in 1920. But I'd like to remember him as I think, as an outstanding citizen and a town resident for Haymarket here. Matter of fact, one interesting point, when 66 was being designed, and they literally had to move his house to put through the interstate. And he has, I think, 4 surviving children that are still around here in this area. But so we'll remember Mr. Robinson there. Okay. All right. Our next item is our public hearings. So I'm going to go ahead and open our public hearing for our council, and then I think also we have the Planning Commission that would be opening theirs as well.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Without objection, I open the Planning Commission public hearing regarding Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
could we have a roll call on the Planning Commission to make sure we have a quorum present?
Sure,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
Lee.
Here.
Cottle.
Here.
Casanella. Here. Carroll. Here. Carroll.
Here.
Great. Okay. All right. So at this time, I think, Marchant, did you have a presentation first, or?
No,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, just a brief update, and the applicant is here this evening to talk to you about the project. Just as a follow-up from the work session, again, 3 applications: special use permit, zoning text amendments, final site plan amendment. We did revise draft motion 3 and the council motions to talk about the release of a construction bond at the time that a Dominion Virginia Power easement plat is provided to the clerk. So that was per the council's direction at the meeting on Monday, or last week. So other than that, Mr. Mayor, the applicant's here to talk you through the project and then open it for public comment.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is John Martinez. I'm a development manager with Chick-fil-A. I have with me this evening Mike Brooklyn, who's an engineer with Bowler Engineering. So I want to thank both the council and the Planning Commission for having this hearing tonight. It's been a long time coming. Chick-fil-A has been anxious to get in, and I just want to kind of set the stage where we actually took a few steps back a few months ago, kind of went back to the property owner and redesigned our site so we could get here tonight. And I think those changes that we made were an improvement to our original plan, and that's why we want to take the time and I'll say do it right, make sure we got it right. So as you know, we're proposing a single-story Chick-fil-A building. It's about 4,800 square feet approximately, 72 parking spaces on site, plus we have stacking for 19 cars. So we're going to have the site designed so it would be self-contained and won't have any impacts on anyone else. Chick-fil-A is very, very excited. We're certainly looking forward to getting started here tonight and hopefully have a positive recommendation. We'd love to be able to break ground as soon as the weather breaks in the springtime. I'm here to answer any basic questions. If you want any more information, I can certainly provide that to you.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up for anyone that would like to speak either in favor or opposed to this application. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and I guess would be you would be closing your part of the public hearing. We'll leave ours open.
Yes, sir. Without objection, I close the Planning Commission public hearing for Chick-fil-A. And at this time, does the Planning Commission have any comments for discussion?
I have a question. Is there going to be a playroom?
I'd like to.
That's correct. Yeah, we will have an indoor children's play area inside of this. We will.
Thank you. Sure, it's the grandkids.
All right, any other questions besides play? All right, at this time, do I have a motion regarding on page 4 of your packet here, the motions regarding the Planning Commission forward to the Town Council, the SUP, and the AFSP?
I'll make the motion. I move
Planning Commission forward
Sherman.
ZTA 201-50921.
Just want to make sure you get recorded there.
Oh, it's off now.
It's on.
There you go.
You got to repeat from the grandkids.
I move that the Planning Commission forward ZTA 201-50921 to the Town Council with a recommendation of approval.
I will second that motion.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, do we have a motion? All right, do we have a motion for the SUP portion?
I move that the Planning Commission forward SUP 201-40121 Chick-fil-A for a fast food restaurant with a drive-through window at 15250 Washington Street.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the last one. Do I have a motion for AFSP 200800813?
Yes, I move that the Planning Commission forward AFSP 20080800813 Quarles Center Site Plan Revision to the Town Council with a recommendation of approval.
All right, discussion? Okay, thank you, sir. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, Mr. Mayor, at this time, I would like, without objection, to close the public hearing for the Chick-fil-A. I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for Chick-fil-A. Okay, I'm on the council too, right? So the logistics here. All right, I'll stay down here.
Second.
Second by Councilman Wood. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the sheets. Mr. Marchant.
Thank you, Chairman Caudle. Again, a quick update, Mr. Mayor. These are 6 requests: a special use permit for a service station with fuel sales, also a quick service food store, separate SUP application for a comprehensive sign package. To accomplish these applications, they've asked for several zoning text amendments of the ordinance, and they're also to request to waive landscaping requirements in conjunction with a preliminary site plan. And there's more detail in the packet before you. The one discussion of the work session was regarding the window signage and coverage, and the applicant has agreed to reduce that coverage from 60% to 20%, which is within the range that our ordinance currently allows, and the new ordinance will allow as well. So there is an item in your packet that describes or compares the change. The applicant in their presentation will also go over the amendments as well. So no further comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, let's set up quickly for the presentation.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and the Planning Commission, for the record, my name is Jay Duvon. I'm here on behalf representing Sheets. Alan Stevens is also here from Sheets, and our engineer, Scott Peterson from Gordon and Associates, is here as well. So hopefully we can answer any questions you might have. We've got a PowerPoint. I'll go through it quickly because I know you've got a very complete package. But going through quickly, I know you know where the site is, so we won't waste any time with that. This is what the new layout would look like, and this shows the realigned access coming in here from Route 15 and the right out only access onto Route 15, and then the left in and right out only access from Washington Street. And then, of course, this is the new layout for the site. This is probably the most interesting graphic because the red shows you the existing layout and the blue shows you the new layout. So you can see how things are moving around. And this is just the same layout that you saw before. This was approved by the ARB. We went to them in December of 2014 and again in August of this year. And we have conditions as well as the approval of the architectural layout for the building. The color of the umbrellas has to be chosen from the ARB color palette, and the gas price pole sign will be allowed to be backlit. In other words, internally illuminated. That's the freestanding sign. And then we are changing the freestanding light poles so that they'll be square and they'll be dressed with brick or stone. These are the elevations of the building. This is the left elevation facing Route 15, and this is the view of the building from Washington Street. And this is from the adjacent shopping center, and this is from Cap Valley Way. This graphic also shows the reduced graphics and these are all faux windows, meaning that you can't actually see through them, but they make these sides of the building, we think, look finished and present a nicer appearance. So those are the modifications we made to the windows. This just shows you before and after, but I think you all understand that. And then the same situation here on the rear of the building. But the idea is to present attractive appearance from all four sides of the building because it's a pretty visible location. This shows the overall locations of signs, both on the canopy, on the building, around the building, and then the freestanding sign, very close to its current location. This is the freestanding sign, and then this is the canopy, this pretty different canopy design with a cornice around the top. The only thing that's illuminated on this canopy will be the sheet signs, and they are internally illuminated along with the freestanding sign. Those are the only signs that are internally illuminated. But rather than the whole periphery of the canopy being illuminated, only the signs on the canopy will be illuminated. So I think it'll present a little more subdued appearance. These are the facade signs on the building. All the signs on the building are externally illuminated with the gooseneck lights per your town standards. This is just a brick enclosure of the dumpster, and that's about it. Don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions? Yep.
Sir, last week, Monday,
yes,
we spoke about the completion time, and you indicated that you'd be able to build the new fuel tanks.
Correct.
And not use the present ones.
Correct.
So what is that time period for which you will be totally not operational?
Well, we talked about that today, and that depends to some degree on, we have preliminary site plan is submitted and is going through the process. We still need final site plan approval. So the question from our question, don't mean to answer a question with a question, but we don't know how long it's going to take to get final site plan approval, and we can't start until we have final site plan approval. We would like, if we can get site plan approval relatively quickly, we would like to coordinate our work with the VDOT work, which we understand to be summer, fall of next year. In other words, when the area is all under construction, we just as soon be under construction at the same time, because it's going to impede access to the site anyway, so we might as well be under construction at the same time. Absent that, if we're not able to get, or we have difficulty getting through site plan approval, then we would construct in the spring of the following year, which would be the spring of 2017. Our preference would be to do it at the same time as VDOT, but I'm not sure we have complete control over that. We've got to get site plan approval.
My question was more with regard to when would you
Sorry.
close pumps? The
Okay.
duration of time for until you start issuing again fuel.
Probably, we're thinking 10 to 12 weeks.
But there's no gas at all?
Correct. Yep. The idea is to shut down this pump island and build a new store while the existing store stays open and this pump island stays open. So those would continue to operate. This entrance here would be closed. We'd be building a new store here. Once this store is built and we'd be paving this area in here, then we would take down the store, take down this pump island, and start building the new pump island. And that's usually a 10 to 12-week process. Well, clearly, it's to our advantage and benefit to do it as quickly as possible, and we'll do that. But that's the current plan. I think that's how long it would normally take. The store, I know that doesn't help with the gas part of it, but our intention is to have a store open throughout the process. So we won't close the existing store until the new store is open. But there's really just no way to have this pump island or this pump island open while you're building the new pump island. So that's unfortunate, but that's the case. But again, if we can do it any quicker than that, we will.
Okay.
Did you indicate that there is only a right turn exit onto 15? Did I hear that properly?
There is, let me back up to that slide. Whoops, wrong direction, sorry. Well, this is a right out only onto 15, but there's a service drive that's going to go back up here, and you'll be able to go left or right from that.
And that service drive can be used by patrons?
Correct. I mean, that's what it's for, really, is to separate, is to move the left turn movements, the median brake, to move it farther from this intersection, because then you're able to have longer turn lanes for the main intersection, which is, of course, 55 and 15.
And maybe this question is for Marshawn. If there are no future restrictions in eliminating that road,
Service road?
the service road,
Would there be any?
further applications, is that owned by Sheetz?
It's not, it's an off-site access, but this is part of the VDOT project. So VDOT will come in, acquire the right-of-way. Once they acquire right, it'll become public road, that'll become a public road.
Okay.
It's actually an elegant solution.
Yes.
It really is.
So, and part of the challenge is, thank you, is this median, right now you can turn left into Sheetz, this will be closed. And so to be able to continue that southbound access on 15, that's where the service road will come in.
So I'm coming from north on 15. How do I get to this gas
Right.
station?
The median brake is just moving from here down to here. So you'll make a left, this is a left turn lane bay here. You'll make a left here into the service drive and then continue on into the Sheetz.
Also, I'm Alan Stevens, I'm with Sheetz. You could also make a left onto Washington, and you have a right in, right out in front of our store. It'd be right in, right out, and left in.
Left in.
Yes, so you can do that too. Make the left-hand turn like you do today, right into the store.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Just a comment. Sure. I want to thank you for being so accommodating with the window signs and so quick with it as well. I know we all really appreciate that.
It's to our advantage as well.
Well, I went to Manassas, actually, and looked at the signs, and they're fine, so.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, if no other questions, we're going to go ahead and open it up for anyone who'd like to speak in favor or opposed to the SUP.
Mr. Mayor, did you
Sure.
open the Planning Commission's public hearing on this one
Oh,
as well?
sorry.
Or did you do
Yes.
both of them? I don't remember if you did both of them before.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for sheets from the Planning Commission.
All right.
I'm Dottie Leonard, 14801 Washington Street. I also wanted to thank Sheets for being considerate of the signage. I was on the council when you all squeaked in just before we got our historic overlay in place. So you're here, and you've been a good neighbor, and we're appreciative of the fact that you're here. But I really would like to see them do the landscaping project. I would not like to see that waived. The shopping center around them is exceptionally landscaped, and I would like to see Sheets be a really good neighbor and do some really nice landscaping. Their colors, I'm assuming, since you're the representative to the ARB, I'm assuming that you're going to protect the town with their colors. We weren't able to do that before because the historic overlay was not in place, but now it is. So if we can soften the blow a little bit.
And they have.
That's good. All right. I'll be coming to the ARB to see that. And the only other thing is I've always wondered why our gas is 15 to 20 cents more per gallon than Warrenton. And I came in and asked at one of the stores, and right now, this month, it's been less than Warrenton. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that you have an application before us or not, but I'm going to be watching you.
Right. All right. Well, thank you. Any other comments? Okay.
Sir, do you want to say something?
I just wanted to add that we are not waiving all the landscaping. We are doing 14 trees rather than 25 trees, but in consideration of that reduction, we're increasing the shrubs from 75 to 99 shrubs. And the issue is the utility easements that run along the shopping center and McDonald's. They won't allow us to plant trees in there. So, but we're not. I mean, we're still going to have a lot of landscaping on the site.
Great. Well, great. Thank you for that clarification and comment there, sir.
All right, Mr. Mayor, without objection, I close the PC public hearing regarding Sheets.
Okay.
All right, for the Planning Commission, do I have a motion for the Planning Commission to forward ZTA 201-40220 to the Town Council?
I move the Planning Commission forward ZTA 201-40220 to the Town Council with a recommendation of approval.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Do I have a recommendation to move the Planning Commission forward of the SUP 201-40220 for Sheets to the Town Council?
I move that the Planning Commission forward SUP 201-40220 Sheets for a service station with fuel sales, quick service food stores, accessory to the service station with fuel sales, and comprehensive sign package for service station signs at 15315 Washington Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, discussion. All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. And the final one, do we have a motion for the Planning Commission forward of PRE 201-40220 for the Haymarket Sheets Convenience Store preliminary site plan?
I move that the Planning Commission forward PRE 201-40220, Haymarket Sheets Convenience Store, preliminary site plan and accompanying parking lot landscaping waiver request to the Town Council with a recommendation of approval.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, carries. So at this time, Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I would like to adjourn the PC portion of the meeting.
Okay. We'll go ahead and have a so moved. Motion been second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you, PC, for your work.
All right. We'll give it a few moments here if I... We have like 4 items for that. There's a separate handout for that. I'm not sure where it is. Thank Brian. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Okay, our next item is our consent agenda, and as we put these items from last Monday, I believe there was one set of minutes that we did not have that were now made available to us, so just note for that. I think it was the Finance Committee that we added in there, but other than that, is there any items that anyone needs to pull off the consent?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull off item C, the committee proposal.
Okay. All right, we'll take that off of consent. Any other items? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda, except for item number C, the committee proposal.
So moved.
Okay. And seconded by Councilman Woods. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods.
Aye.
Cottle.
Yes.
Casanello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes.
Okay. Our next item up would be our agenda items for Chick-fil-A, and we want to go to back of page 4, I believe. Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I move that that the Town Council adopt ordinance number ORD 2015-010, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Haymarket. And I move that the Town Council approve number SUP 2014-0121, Chick-fil-A, for a fast food restaurant with drive-through window at 15250 Washington Street, subject to conditions of approval dated December 7th, 2015. And I move that the Town Council approve number AFSP 2008-0813, Coral Center Site Plan Revision, prepared by Bowler Engineering, dated June 6, 2014, revised through December 1st, 2015, but expressly conditioned upon the following: bonds posted for construction of the site plan revision shall not be released until a Dominion Virginia Power easement plat and updated site plan sheets have been provided to the town clerk.
Second.
Okay, motion been second. Discussion on this? Roll call vote, please. Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a statement to the engineer. I think he did a great job reorienting the building. I know you guys don't hear enough of that, but I think it's a real great solution, so thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods.
Aye.
Cottle.
Yes.
Casanello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes.
Our next item, we have our sheets.
Page 29, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
And it's also ready for action.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move that the Town Council adopt ordinance ORD 2015-011, amending the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Haymarket. And I move that the Town Council approve SUP 2014-0220, Sheets Incorporated for a service station with fuel sales, quick service food store accessory to the service station with fuel sales and comprehensive sign package for service station signs at 15315 Washington Street, subject to conditions of approval dated December 4th, 2015. And I move that the Town Council approve preliminary site plan PRE 2014-0220 Haymarket Sheets Convenience Story, preliminary site plan, prepared by Gordon and dated December 15, 2014, revised through September 15, 2015. And I further move that the Town Council, pursuant to sections 58-703F and 58-703G of the Town Code, approve a waiver of perimeter parking lot landscaping as depicted on sheet 15 of preliminary site plan PRE 2014-0220.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Edwards. Discussion. Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Woods.
Aye.
Warren.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Cowell.
Yes.
Costello. Aiken.
Yes.
All right. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you. Our next item is item number C on page 127, our caboose enhancement project.
Actually, you should have a handout that was placed up at your desk with a cost analysis. If you turn to actually the third page in that little mini packet, that shows some cost comparisons. I will say I reached out to 4 decking companies, 2 returned my phone calls, 1 returned a cost estimate. So we only have a comparison with Long Fence. However, if you look at the numbers, it's actually right in line with what Genesis had given us and proposed as well. And in order to change from pressure-treated wood to the average quality composite decking, you are talking about an approximate $21,000 increase. If you want to go to a high-quality composite based off what Long Fence gave me, you are talking about an increase of $41,625. I will also say, while I did not include this in here, I did price out per board from a local retailer, and these are because they get a discount as a contractor. It's actually lower than what I came up with for the material cost if we would buy per board. So I believe these estimates are in line. If you turn to the final page of the packet, we do some comparison for maintenance. So for a composite decking, it's recommended that you clean it with a high-quality composite decking cleaner twice a year. And if you do that twice a year for 25 years, that averages out to $13,500 in maintenance. For decking, for the pressure-treated wood, it's recommended you hose wash it with a wood deck cleaner twice a year, and it's recommended you stain and seal it anywhere from once a year to every 3 years, so I used average of 2. And for that maintenance, that would work out to be $15,250. So the next thing we have to consider is the lifespan. Pressure-treated wood is expected to last between 10 and 15 years, so I used an average of 12.5. Composite decking, no one says how long it lasts, but the average warranty is 25 years. So I had figured that's 25 years. So if you actually look at the summary, when you compare pressure-treated wood, including the assumption that you're going to have to replace it a year, 12 and a half, and add it to the maintenance, when you compare that to average quality composite, the average quality composite is cheaper by $3,500. It's not a significant difference. What I want to point out, though, and this comes into my recommendation, is if we change to the average quality composite, that extra $21,000 is what the town council is going to have to come up with and pay out of pocket, because that's not covered in the grant we currently have. So my recommendation, which is on page 1 of the summary of the the packet, is that we go ahead and construct with the pressure-treated wood at this time. And then when it comes to the time when you need to replace it, look into additional grant funding and the composite material at that time.
Okay.
I have a question. May I? Not having seen this yet and had a chance to really look at it, why is there a difference in the square footage? We're showing, it's probably a simple answer, but
Yes, and it's actually at the very top of the chart. It's because right now the existing ramps are pressure-treated wood, so if we use a pressure-treated wood deck,
you're not going to
we don't have
replace,
to replace the ramps, but if
Right.
we go to a composite deck, we have to
replace the whole thing.
replace the ramps. So that's
Okay.
why there's a difference in square footage.
Do we know how old the ramp is? That would? Okay.
Councilman Morse?
Thank you. I think it's in my best interest to do this motion, sir.
Make a motion.
Yeah, yeah.
I move that the town not pursue changing the decking, railings, ramps, and stairs at the caboose to composite material at this time, and to evaluate changing to composite material and research available grant funding when the pressure-treated wood deck needs to be replaced.
Okay, we have a motion.
I second.
Mr. Cottle, discussion on the motion. We'll go for a roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods.
Aye.
Cottle.
Yes.
Costello.
Aye.
Aiken.
Yes.
Right.
Well done, Holly.
Our next item, item D, our Hariver property, are on page 128 of our packet. So at our agenda, I know you're looking at me, at our agenda, we thought that obviously it would take a little bit of time for any type of advertising to make sure we put it out to the right localities or market, I guess, that we were looking to. So I guess, is there any update with that?
I'm still working on the actual advertisement. I think the thing about it is when I'm going to the National Preservation Trust, which I think is one of our best sites to probably advertise this on. This is a U.S.-wide website that has historic sites from across the country. At least this way I feel like we're doing our best effort for that, along with local advertising. We basically just need to do all the other things that we do whenever you're going to list any kind of property. Make sure we're getting pictures. We want to make sure it looks good, and basically crafting the advertisement correctly. With the festivities we had, I ran out. I had less week than I had time. It's really what it came down to. So I will be running this advertisement through our attorney this week, and we hope to get it out on the website by the end of this week, if at all possible. If not, I will advise you, but it should be within the next coming week.
Okay. Of course, my other comments there, we know that it has not been brought to the ARB yet. It looks like Marchant, I believe, is working for that next meeting.
16th? On the 16th?
No, we discussed last month was discussed at the work session, was waiting for the master plan.
Right.
Once you adopt it in January, I'll have the package ready
Correct.
to go to the ARB in January. So hopefully by February 1, you'll have it wrapped up and ready to.
Right. Okay, great. And of course, the RFP for the demo work, we're waiting to get that.
If we're able to sell, but we'll have the draft ready to go.
Right.
One of the things with the timing, actually, that gives you plenty of time to actually have it advertised, publicly for potential sale, and we'll have everything ready to go if, for some reason, we are not able to be successful in selling the property.
Mr. Mayor,
Right.
can I
Yes.
ask a question? Are there any government sites or park sites, or have you looked into that?
There are other sites that advertise historic. The National Preservation Trust. What I did was I actually reached out to our regional office at the Department of Historic Resources, and that was the recommendation that I received from them. There are a couple other historic sites that feature, but those are much more like commercial, it's commercial kind of realty. We can advertise on those as well. I mean, my hope and goal is to cast the net as far as we can.
Is there a cost to this advertising?
On the National Preservation Historic Trust, there does not appear to be any cost. I didn't go all the way through the process, but
Okay.
to the best of my knowledge, it does not.
Okay.
Advertising it locally, though, may.
Right.
Okay, all right. Anything further with that? We'll move on to our VRE update. I'm sorry.
What is our stance on removal of the other outbuildings, like the two out back and the garage?
Master plan?
Is that going to be part of the master plan in January?
That'll be part of the master plan in January, yes, sir.
Okay.
The ARB had already made recommendations of removing those outbuildings as part of the master plan recommendation. Once it's adopted, we'll execute. So there's been some parties that are interested in taking it off our hands, others are interested in disassembling it. As soon as you make your decision on the master plan, we'll get started.
Okay.
The larger question will be transitioning the garage. It's more of the outbuildings, the two sheds that are up against Villages of Haymarket. Those would be the priority. The garage would be a later phase.
And the well house will go with those others? Yes,
Correct.
no?
I think the idea was to repurpose it, to find a local scout group that'll want to do something out of that building material.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Moving on to our VRE update. I think we spoke at our work session about that. I'd like to keep that as a place setter for each month as this continues to develop. I understand that one of the representatives is going to be reaching out to, I think, Green Hill Crossing for a meeting for the local HOAs to get involved with that as well for the study as it continues.
Mr. Mayor, I do also believe, I'm sorry, I'm having a momentary lapse of memory, but I do believe it's the January work session, VRE will be here to give an update on the progress of the study.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry?
Okay.
I was saying thank you.
Just confirming.
She was confirmed. I already sent it to her. I just couldn't remember if it was January or February, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. All right. Our next item is our DVP. I asked this to be put on, and we just off the press have this resolution that's in front of us that has been vetted by council, and we want to try to go through, maybe take a few moments to read this, and then just let me know that you all are ready to look at this and discuss.
Sir?
Yes.
Yeah, the third paragraph, in quotation is hybrid. Should that be more specified? Because it's not explained in the previous two paragraphs.
Yeah, I think maybe, I don't know, what's your thought?
But isn't that well explained in the proposal they made to the State Corporation Commission?
Well, in the State Corporation Commission, it's worded underground, otherwise referred to as hybrid. And here it's saying included hybrid, overhead, and underground routes.
Yeah, so perhaps it should be just consistent with what the submission says. That's not
Right.
difficult.
Okay.
I mean, you can look that up online and get that information.
Can you look to see what the exact wording is, please?
Okay.
And while you're doing that, let me ask a question. So the intent of this, are we saying that we want to send this to the SCC? Is that the idea, or?
I think the intent was to have a reaction or after their filing, since they have now filed, and they filed with a preliminary route that is overhead that goes through the town. The idea was to obviously object to this.
And if I can
this
add
route.
too, there is a portion where the SEC gather all the information and then look at it during that evaluation period. So this probably needs to go
Becomes part
into
of
the
record.
package, right?
Becomes part of the record.
Yes.
Well, then I'd like to recommend also that we share this with all the other interested parties, all the elected officials, as well as, state, local, Prince William Board of County Supervisors. And I'd also recommend that we send it to our two senators and Congresswoman.
Good idea.
And I assume that you're saying share it once it's adopted?
Yes, once it's adopted, yeah.
Absolutely, right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, is this also going to be shared with the HOAs that this will impact? Because getting out this past weekend, walking around, talking to some folks, with all of our best efforts to advertise this, there's still a lot of our citizens who are oblivious to what's being proposed.
What about, I know we just missed the one mailing, but we're working, I think, on our next mailing, maybe actually having this included in it. Is a thought? Yeah.
There's a wide circulation, too, the Bull Run Observer. A lot of people read that. I don't know what it would cost to put it in there, but that's widely circulated.
Right.
And actually read by most people.
Right. Well, what's our thought about that? Actually, we could actually put this as in the newspaper.
Well, obviously, being part of a outreach effort, communications plan, we should certainly do a press release, I would think.
Okay.
Try to cast a wide net for this, as wide as possible.
Okay. What's the average cost for?
Well, I'm not sure about the average cost. Just to clarify, were you talking about, because you mentioned both the newsletter and the newspaper, were you talking about both? One, both, all?
I didn't know what our timing is for the newsletter. I think there was a new one that was.
Yeah, a new newsletter will be coming out probably after sometime towards the mid to late part of the new year. So it'll be a while.
Yeah,
but the SEC process is lengthy, so I think it would still be worth it to make sure it gets out there. But I think you should look at other avenues before then too.
Right.
That's what I'd recommend.
So what's your thought on that? How do you?
I think the more we can get it out, the Bull Run Observer goes to more than just the town of Haymarket, the local residents, and it's very well read. I think the more we can get it out, the better. Mm-hmm. Because my fear is, since it's not going in certain areas, that those people, well, it's not my backyard. Well, now it's in somebody else's backyard. I would think Heritage Hunt would want to know it's going to be visible from some of those homes, all those homes north of 66. You got the hospital. Schools are going to be looking at it.
But if we put the resolution in there, it doesn't do much good unless there's a map that goes along with it that explains things. We're talking about a 2 or 3 page buyout of the paper, which can get pretty expensive.
I guess I'm looking at the cost if it does go up.
Right.
Or maybe we could, instead of putting the maps and additional pages, we just put the website for the SEC's application. That eliminates the map. And the interested parties, as they read it, they can then go and search to see the map, because this has been floating now for such a long time.
We already have a lot of people that aren't interested parties. That's who we're trying to target. That's the problem.
How about contacting the Bull Run Observer and seeing if they're interested in running a story and including all of this in the story?
That's what you do with a press release.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Why just look
but
at
not
just
just
one?
a press release, a follow-up also.
Right. The original intent is the residents foremost, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're elected to safeguard our citizens, but I think we're going to need help outside Haymarket proper. And if, down here at the far end of town, we have Stop the Power Towers, but as I drive by, it doesn't tell me where they're going, the height. I mean, it's a good attempt, but if this does get built, it's never coming down.
It's true.
So I'm willing, within reason, to endure any cost to get this out. And if people aren't interested, we did our part. What I don't want is to see these things being erected and go through the town and go, how come you never told us? Well, see my point?
Right. So what we could do is obviously still through our website, we could actually do this as a special mailing to the residents, and maybe an instruction or information letter, and also the proposed routes.
I'm wondering.
Does the mailing cost? Jen's not there, she went to do something.
Yeah, residents.
I'm wondering if we could cut this down for the residents or even for the newspaper instead of the resolution itself.
Yeah, the resolution's a lot of,
Right.
it's hard to read, and
Yeah.
people are going to
So,
not go through it.
and I know a town manager who writes really good, that he could mince this and turn it into just a couple paragraphs.
I think you could even just publish the be it resolved on.
So obviously, we got two things going on. We're looking at the communication going out, maybe more simplified.
More simplified.
And also maybe including the route map and showing. Maybe we really key on the town of Haymarket and how this is, and send it to the residents. I forget what the number is. 6.
Let me just ask, for the other HOAs, do you guys get regular emails or letters from the HOA?
Emails.
Emails?
Yeah, for ours.
Yeah.
We have an email blast that goes out.
Right. Are you in the same one?
Yes.
Kurt?
I don't have an HOA.
Ooh.
He's off the grid.
Do you, Matt?
Ours is really spotty. That's why I would like something just to walk the 42 doors in our neighborhood myself and just hand it to the people.
And that actually sounds like a good job for a future councilman, too.
I don't know about that, but I think my fear is, I mean, you've got all these folks that they just don't know.
Well, if we have a packet put together, not a packet, a page put together, I have no problem volunteering going around Greeno Crossing and putting it in the mailboxes. I'm sure other people in other streets and HOAs would be happy to do it too, that we could probably target 90% of the people without incurring any postage. But we would incur the printing.
Copying in the color.
And what about the businesses too? What about going to them? I mean, it's my understanding it's going to cut across the fairgrounds property?
Yeah, portion of it.
Correct.
Yes.
That's one of the
The
alternatives.
whole western end of town is going to see wires crossing Washington Street.
Well, do we not have a blast email list of businesses for the?
Yes. We do.
That's a much, rather than residents, that's probably more of a 90% solution for
Yes.
businesses.
Correct. Good
And we
idea.
could send an email out to them with a warning or whatever on it. Whereas residents, to their mailbox with a piece of paper is probably the only way we're going to get out to them.
Mhm.
So we need to create it, print it, email it to businesses, and hand it to council members to go around their neighborhoods.
Mr. Mayor, to throw another wrench in the works on the actual wording of it, is there any benefit to, especially on the resolution itself, paragraph number 3, is there any benefit to saying we prefer totally underground or at least authorize the partially underground hybrid route? I'm just, because our position has always been, we want it all the way underground. And I know that the last resolution we made was kind of conceding a little bit to the hybrid route, but if possible, I would imagine that our position is still as underground as possible.
Yeah, I think with that, the hybrid, it has to come out, and it has to go back under. So the hybrid was the ideal solution for it, because the way that the transmission lines that it's coming off of is overhead, that they have to go into the station to then come back out. So
I think we want to keep promoting the hybrid route, because that's what all the other jurisdictions are doing, and we don't want to separate from them.
Makes sense.
We want to stay together with everyone with a united front. This is the only one acceptable.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. What about the signboards we use to advertise town events? Why couldn't we put something up on that?
Good. We could. You could really advertise for going the door-to-door route. We could also the website, the signboards, if agreeable.
What would we put on these signboards?
Like, we have the marquee that the police move around. We could put overhead,
Overhead power line.
Overhead
information,
power lines, look
www.
out your window, and you'll see, something to get their attention.
Yeah. We direct them to the website.
It's not doing us any good if it's not out. I mean, we use it on special events, but
But is it something where we need to look at? We need to look at the. Thank you. We need to look at the door-to-door first.
well, I'm saying in addition to. I'm saying every mode we have to get this out, we need to get it out. And the earlier, the better.
Okay.
Ms. Holly?
Can I make a commentary just on using they're called the portable changeable message signs? Is that you have to have very brief information
Yeah.
in there because you do not want to be distracting drivers. And our email address is very long.
Mm-hmm.
I personally.
Our website's very long.
I personally, the website, I personally do not recommend using those because I don't want to do something that would, people are trying to read what's there and they're distracted and having an accident. There might be by using some of the, like even our sandwich signs that we have at the museum or something. Just that one is, I have concerns about as an engineer.
Good point. Just bounce it by the chief to get his input. I don't discount I just think it's designed to be read from an automobile. If we could just
But
have
brief.
something. Right.
That's
I'm
what
not
she's saying.
saying.
We're not going to be able to get all the information.
No,
on
I'm not
there.
suggesting that, but overhead lines are coming, check your mailbox, or whatever we can come up with.
Something that, just not with the town's website, that's just too long to get in there. But there might be something about the overhead lines, and something that we can cut down briefly. Just, I don't know how to tell them where to go.
One thing that we could consider is seeing if the www.toh.org is available and as an alternate website, because we can have multiple domain names point to the same website. That would be easier to throw up there, toh.org.
I would imagine that one would be fairly expensive.
Oh, no.
Some of the more premium ones are.
Domain, I buy them all the time. They're
$10.
register.com, $35 a month, a year, if you only buy it for 1 year. If you buy it for
Generally,
1
yes,
year.
but there are premium ones that do cost more.
Not from the, now, if you want one that everybody wants, yes, $10,000 if you want shoe.com. But anything that's available that nobody else wants, it's dirt cheap. But I'm not sure it's available.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I think we should adopt this, or at least take a vote on adopting this and doing what we need to do with this. And perhaps we could ask the town manager to work with some others to put together somewhat of a strategy on how we communicate and what we communicate to our citizens and others outside of town.
Second.
TOH is not available. It's this old house.
Okay. Well, it could be .com, .org, .biz,
Okay, I redirect back to my comment.
Yes.
Oh, we're waiting on the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
So keep talking,
But
Steve.
I would like to make that suggestion so that we can move on.
Very good suggestions there.
So communication, obviously, we've got that. Brian is. Yeah. Okay. Any more thoughts on our resolution as we, I think there's something else that's being changed on it?
Yes, just to clarify what it's recorded in their submission.
Not that we're waiting on you.
Yeah.
Did you find a typo?
No, I caught another reference.
Okay. And I think it's just good so that we have it consistent with what they title it as when they submit it.
Right. In the submission. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then wherever he had overhead route, I put my 66 in.
Yeah, that's
Very good. Very good.
So we'll scrap the very first one, and let's focus on our second one here.
Yeah.
Why don't we go down there paragraph to paragraph so that we'll speed through this. So no issues with the first paragraph,
None with the
whereas?
second.
Second?
None with the second.
Okay. Third?
We just clarified it.
Our fourth one,
Just clarification. Added I-66.
right. Our fifth, Novant Health. And our sixth one, I-66 overhead. Adversely impacts.
That looks like that follows Marshall's letter.
And are now therefore be it resolved. I think number 2 is going to come, it's going to be something that they haven't heard before.
Right.
Which was very, I think, helpful, and I think it's Hendersonville, North Carolina, where they actually asked for that. And our last one, number 4, required Dominion power.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Looking for a motion.
All of it?
Yeah. No, we could do, I think, shorten it to the resolution as presented, 2015-016, as revised.
Do we have to do all of it, sir?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
Just say you want
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if we may, I'm going to just give credit to where credit's due. Yeah. Sure.
I just wanted to make sure if you wanted to take this opportunity to, again, state your position on all the overhead routes, not just the I-66 as their preferred, because they did submit other overhead routes.
That's right, yes.
So we could take this opportunity to fine tune it more if you want to move on to another item.
Sure, okay.
I can get that fixed.
Yes, please.
Yeah, well, let me just clarify then. When we reference July 14th, 2015, does that clarify the overhead versus the underground? Didn't we choose the I-66 underground route? I mean, I agree, it makes sense to clarify it in this as well, but I'm just asking if we made that clarification in that previous resolution.
Well, understand where this resolution, now we're targeting everything at SEC, and they look at all the applications, all the study routes that they were done. So, yes, whereas you did make a preference to the underground route, it probably doesn't hurt to reiterate the fact that really the town is opposed to all overhead routes, no matter which way they go.
Mr. Mayor, in the July
underground.
resolution, you did oppose all the overhead routes, and so that would be consistent to put something in paragraph 3 where it says currently deny Dominion Virginia Power's preferred I-66 overhead route. After that, add the words and any other overhead routes, or words to that effect. Actually, I think you'd have to insert that. Let me work on some drafting here, and then I'll.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right. Our next item, we want to, I guess, let's go ahead and go back to your consent item committee proposal. Page 70 of 70 through 74. And let's look back at that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I asked for it to be pulled off because as I was reading through it again, I noticed at the very, not at the end, but in the recommendation and then again on the last page, page 74, it mentions that the two liaisons, which would be the liaison to the ARB and the liaison to the PC, would not serve on any of the other committees, whereas every member who was not a liaison would need to serve on at least 2 committees. And that concerns me a little bit because now you've got 4 people who are doing a lot of the work and meeting a lot of extra times together, and you've got 2 people who are essentially excluded from those discussions. And now I know that we all trust each other and work together with each other, but that does, it just provides a little bit of a raise of an eyebrow to me, even on the inside, knowing that there would be so much work going on between a certain set of people, excluding a certain other set of people.
Okay. Thoughts? Councilman Edwards.
I don't have a problem with doing another committee. I just know that, not to say that the ARB doesn't have a lot of work, but the Planning Commission person does a lot of work outside of their meetings, whereas the ARB is a little bit less. So, I mean, am I right, Matt? I mean, I don't have a problem doing it,
I
but
don't think it should restrict them.
no.
But when it comes time to choose who goes on them and that we take some people's other duties in consideration.
Correct.
So there shouldn't be any exclusivity, but when it comes time to choose,
Do consider that
we
they are
consider that.
doing, yeah.
and see what they want to do. I mean, maybe somebody's retired and has plenty of time.
Mhm.
Maybe other people.
What about rotation, too? I know that was one of the thoughts.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, actually, I was going to say, I think the simple fix would be you could actually just say, rather than say with exception of liaisons, with potential exception of liaisons. But the other thing I
Or
think.
with special consideration to the
Yeah.
liaisons.
The other thing I think you all should consider is it would be good to have a rotation on some of these committees. Now, with the liaison for a planning commission and maybe the ARB, it'd be helpful to probably serve maybe like a year term, because you want to keep some consistency on both of those boards. But at the same time, it also would be helpful for the other committees, since they are meeting less frequently, with the exception of finance, to have a rotation. And even with finance, I'd say, go 6 months and then maybe rotate it, some of the committee members in and out. So that way, everybody's getting a little bit of participation. But I actually think Councilman Woods for bringing that to attention. The intent was not necessarily to eliminate anyone, but it was more just the fact that knowing the nature of these boards, you are giving a considerable more amount of time to serve on those, as opposed to the committees, which hopefully can be a little bit more, only meet in most of the cases, with the exception of finance, on a quarterly basis now. So.
My other comment would be to probably pick up on people's expertise too, or their, I don't want to say expertise, but do you know what I'm saying? Their background, their knowledge base.
Or even their interest.
Correct.
Interest, yeah. Okay.
I personally don't see the need. I agree with the recommendations, except for the part of adding members, adding more members to the committees.
So, Mr. Henshaw, Brian, can you explain your thought behind that idea, adding more people?
The intent of adding an additional member to the committees is hopefully to make it work so that more council members are getting. When we have 2 members or not, we still advertise all these meetings. Having 4 members would allow more discussion. Nothing ever comes out of a committee that's going to be a quote-unquote a rubber stamp per se. But the theory is that maybe with 4 being having been part of that meeting, more of a discussion has occurred, and you can actually, now you have 4 people all considering saying what was the conclusion of that committee. Whereas when you have only 2, although those 2 could offer the same kind of discussion, you still have to get to a majority vote. And so it's one of those things, it's like where we're coming from with the committees is to keep them intact or keep working with the system. Is the idea is for us to hopefully try to cut down on some of your hours within the work session, because what we're finding, or what I've seen since we started the committees, is that we're deliberating over the same topics just as equally as much at a work session as we are within the committees, in which case having 4 may actually circumvent some of that discussion. Not that the healthy discussion is not important, but I think what it does is it will make your discussion items probably a little bit more on task, as opposed to having to get the background and history every single time we go through it.
Do we not take minutes at these?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Aren't those sent out to the council members?
Yes, they are.
Read?
Yes.
So that's
They're
how
part
we
of our packet.
keep
They're part.
abreast of the situations.
Very good point.
In theory.
You know, when I look at the numbers here, Finance Committee would have four persons meeting monthly. Events Committee just has one liaison, probably monthly meeting with the staff. Public Safety Committee just has a liaison, maybe meeting quarterly. Public Facilities, quarterly, 3 members. Personnel, quarterly, 3 members. It just seems like a lot for 5 committees. So I agree with the recommendations of dissolving the Events Committee, keeping the Finance Committee meeting monthly, Public Safety Committee dissolving and appointing a liaison, Public Facilities meeting quarterly, Personnel meeting quarterly or as needed. But I just don't agree with adding the new members from this 7.
Okay.
And I agree with having the mayor officially being on the Finance Committee.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
But this looks like a lot when you're bumping up the numbers. Because now we're going back to where we were. And I understand having the committees in the first place. It really helped us to get our feet wet for the first year being on council. It really did work. But now we're getting to a place where things are leveling out, and now we each have gained enough experience thus far in understanding the different issues, and now we're, you know, as Councilwoman Edwards said, you know, now we're learning to read those minutes.
Okay. Other thoughts? Looks like Councilman Cottle, Passanella?
I think I heard that somewhere else on Monday. I agree totally. I think it was a great learning tool, especially for new members of the council, not as experienced as some of the other members. I'm not really sure we need to continue all of the committees. I think they need to be just basically on an ad hoc nature. And frankly, I think the finance is the most critical one. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, so do we sort of have a consensus? Do you understand what we're doing? You need more directive?
I think the clarification is, if I can recommend that the Finance Committee stays meeting monthly, adding the mayor officially, period. Events Committee dissolve and appoint a liaison to work with staff, period. Public Safety Committee dissolve and appoint a liaison to work with staff, no additional members. Public Facilities Committee meet quarterly or as needed, adding no additional member. And personnel meeting quarterly or as needed, and not adding any other members of council. This is taken, for the personnel, I would recommend having 2 persons on it. I don't know if we do have the 2. I know Kurt.
2 council
We know have 2 council members, okay. That's good.
Could you refresh for me who's on what? Who's on first?
Who?
Go ahead, Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like to?
No, I think he
I pointed to you.
Oh, yeah, I was going to go around just to see
Okay,
who was on here.
Finance.
Okay.
Okay. Personnel.
Okay.
Events was the mayor. You were on the Events Committee.
Right.
And Joe, you were there too?
Yes.
So events have 2.
Chris and I on public safety.
Public Safety is 2, and Public Facilities 1.
Right.
Okay.
I would definitely recommend that you would want to minimal add at least 1 member to public facilities.
Well, you don't
so
need
you
it.
actually have a committee.
Well,
if you're going to have one.
Public facility, yes, you're correct.
Would it make more sense to have them be purely ad hoc except for finance, and strongly encourage as many members of council as are able to attend with, you know, and keep at least 2 members as permanent residents of that committee, but strongly encourage the rest of the members to attend, because I think that's going to make attendance higher. It's going to allow things to move more smoothly, both in, maybe not in the committee, but in the council meetings as well. Similar to what we did with the public facilities last Thursday.
That was a great meeting.
I think I'd like to second that. And the reason, the critical aspect of that is that communication and making sure that everybody's aware of when the meetings are and what's transpired in the meetings. So, and it's their option to read it, you know, read the minutes and to ask the questions. and hopefully everybody does, like they do now. I just think it might help streamline things a little bit better.
It is important to note that if you dissolve your committees, though, there's no requirement for minutes at that point. So basically what we're saying is, and look, this is like, okay, so
There'd be like ad hoc meetings.
Well, I mean, you certainly want to invite all council,
well,
I would think.
Yes, but he's saying something different.
to our attorney's point last at the work session, one of the things about it is a lot of these committees work well because basically you might have like 2 committee members, but all the council is showing up to the committees that they want to know what's going on. I don't know if it'd be to the mayor's decision to let Mr. Krim comment to that, but that was one of the things that I think you have to consider in the long run. However, the committees are really set up to provide a chance and opportunity for you all to discuss. What I would just say as more of a cautionary point is understand that means everything that basically that needs some kind of action, all of it's going to come to council as opposed to going through a committee prior to it.
Okay, so, first, Mr. Grimm, then did you have something?
Mayor, I did have something to add to that. I think from Councilman Wood's proposal, what you're talking about is basically a series of special council meetings that would be advertised as such for the purposes of focusing on a particular area. And there might be people that are, coming, you want to probably want to have people RSVP so you know how many people are going to be there and make sure that there's going to be a meeting. But I think that's perfectly workable. I don't think there's any problem with that as long as you advertise that properly under the FOIA and then proceed with that and the minutes would just simply say that the following council members were present and the motion was made to recommend something. It wouldn't have to be very complicated.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Two things. One was, my concern about that is now you need 4 council members, or you can't have it, because you have to have a quorum if it's a special council meeting. If it's a committee meeting, you don't.
You can advertise them both.
Okay.
That's what we do now.
Now, other than that, my concern with something like public safety being ad hoc is that I think it should be quarterly. That there should be a regular standing meeting, because we have members of the fire department and that show up to this to let us know what's going on, and we let them know what's going on. So we're outreach to other jurisdictions and Prince William County in that, and they need to have, we can't just call a quick meeting and expect them to be there. It needs to be on the calendar in advance. So I still think a quarterly meeting is appropriate, and if something special comes up, well, then we'll deal with it.
What we spoke of at the work session was to basically put that onto the chief, that he would have his public safety meeting, and we would be invited to it, but it would be, and at his discretion of how often.
That would be fine, as long as it's plenty of time so that everyone can attend, not an emergency type meeting type thing, that it hopefully is well planned so Prince William County Fire and other groups can attend.
Right, so that'd be something that he would be coordinating.
Pretty organized and ready.
Yeah.
Plans ahead.
So that was the thought about the public safety, is just to let them, and then we'll be, invitees of their meeting when they have it and how often.
Yes, a question for Mr. Krim. If they were special council meetings and we did have a quorum, we would be able to take action immediately on whatever items were presented at the meeting, correct?
Only if they were announced in the call of the meeting so that all council members could have the opportunity to attend and participate if they wish to. So in any special meeting, you do have to have notice of what the possible action items are.
Okay.
It just seems so complicated in getting the special meetings and committee meetings. Why is it that we cannot just continue on the quarterly meetings for those that we intend to keep? And if the town manager advises that there is not much that needs to be discussed, then it's canceled.
So you put it as a place setter, but it's not a hard fast.
Because it's just like the public facilities. If the public facilities is on a quarterly basis, and 3 months come up and there's nothing major to discuss, there's no invoices to go over that's of concerns or proposals, the town manager communicates with the chairman, and both of them make a decision, and they nix the meeting.
Going around the table, does that seem to be acceptable, or? Yep.
Except for the finance committee.
Except for the finance.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the quarterly meetings.
All right.
Yeah, that's monthly.
Okay.
That has to be.
Do you understand what we're doing now?
Okay, can I recap?
Yeah.
You got it? You watch the video.
Video.
Finance Committee remains monthly. Add the mayor officially, period. Events Committee dissolve. We need to appoint a liaison to work with staff. Public Safety Committee dissolve and appoint a liaison to work with staff. Public Facilities Committee meet quarterly. Add 1 new member. Personnel remains. Meet quarterly or as needed. Add no new members.
I'd like to ask the chairman of personnel what he thinks about a quarterly.
I think quarterly is fine if there's action to be taken. If not, then we don't need to have the meeting. I would recommend that we add at least 1 more member because we don't want to, yes, we'd be meeting less often, but we'd still be running up against the same problem where we come with our recommendation, but it's just 2. And having at least 1 more member would give more credence to that recommendation.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if you add 1 more to public facilities, at least that way you're putting 3 on each, and it wouldn't be as much of a time drain on it. Because I think there's a lot to the fact that, if there's not a reason to call a meeting, we're not going to call a meeting. When we first created the committees, I think there was some early on time, there was a lot like education time and everything. Now we've, kind of gotten past that, so to speak. Now it's much more like, let's just get, if it's an action item, let's bring it to the council.
Okay.
Just a recommendation I would make.
Yeah.
He's just recapping what I just said.
Yep. Okay.
Well, you said add 1.
Yes, add 1 to public facilities.
And 1 to personnel.
And 1 to personnel.
Right. Okay. All right.
Do we need to take actions or as far as appointing?
I don't know if we really would want to, go ahead.
I would be reluctant to take action right at this moment.
I was just about to say
I think maybe we should let Brian go back, right, assimilate the information, lay it out for everybody so we all understand what we're doing, and then bring it back.
And then we'll see what vacancies we have and see if there's any interest to fill those. Yeah. Okay.
I'll put together I'll take this, put it together. Now, that does mean we're all having committee meetings all the rest of this month, just so you know, but other than that.
When you put the information together, could you put what time the committees typically meet? As of now, I understand that that's up for negotiation.
That is actually currently in your packet.
Okay.
I'm sorry, madam.
And could you include also the PC and the ARB reps, please?
Yes.
Just so that we see the flow. I think there's someone who commented on some people not working. No, that was stated badly. Sorry. But just to see the flow.
Don't take that bait.
With the individuals.
No.
To see the flow with the individuals. Because like with PC and ARB, it like accounts for 3 committees, the amount of time they put in.
Essentially.
So
I believe you all should have in your packet the additional information I added, which had included the graph along with the time commitments.
Right. It is.
It's as well.
It's there.
Which says what the when everybody meets in the.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I'm
but the
understanding.
names are not there.
Oh, okay, yes. Mainly because that's something that you always could change out. But I will get that in there. Okay.
Well, there could be a change in July 1st, too.
Yes, that's true. All of this could be for naught.
Just so the town council knows, the planning commission, and talking to Brian, we're changing our monthly meeting to Wednesday instead of Monday, and that will start in January. So instead of the second Monday of every month, it's going to be the second Wednesday of every month at 7. It gives people the ability not to, if they want to go out of town for a weekend, it's going to help with attendance because it's in the middle of the week. So that will start in January.
All right, great. Okay. No further discussion. We're moving on here. Let's go to, oh, yes. So we got the new edits.
Mr. Mayor, I want to address that. Based on the conversation that the council had previously, we've amended paragraph 3 there at the bottom of the first page to say deny all Dominion Virginia Powers overhead routes. This is requesting that the State Corporation Commission deny all Dominion Virginia Powers overhead routes, including their preferred I-66 overhead route as proposed in the November 6, 2015 filing. The rest of the resolution is as you saw before.
Great, okay. I think we're there. Looking for a motion to accept Resolution 2015-016.
Sir, I move to accept Resolution 2015-016 regarding the Dominion Virginia Power Gainesville Haymarket Transmission Line and Substation State Corporation Commission Application PUE 2015-00107.
Motion been seconded by Councilwoman Edwards. Discussion on this. Roll call vote, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards. Yes. Woods. Aye. Cottle.
Yes.
Costello.
Aye.
Yes.
Wonderful, great.
I do have one more thing to report on DVP.
Okay.
We did meet today with Senator Warner's staff, and just so everybody knows, what we did ask was to try to determine who exactly is the customer. If in fact it's Amazon, or Amazon is contracting out perhaps for a government entity, so we might be able to push some levers after we find out who exactly it is. So we need to know that, and they were going to look into that for us, so I wanted everybody to be aware of that.
Good, okay. Yeah. All right. Nothing further. We'll move on to item number G, which is in page number 131 of our packet. As we know, we have already, in our consent agenda, have put together for our next year's, but I think Councilman Morris was 131.
I was making notes.
As you remember, they had come to us, I believe now, on 2 occasions, and we're looking for funding, I think, of $500 a year. Hoping not for the
year? Like repetitively?
Well, they were looking for
Over a 4-year period.
Over a 4-year period, but for this particular year, starting out with the 500-year.
So just to clarify, Mr. Mayor, in the consent agenda, the request to council, the policy was approved.
Correct, for next year.
For next year.
Right, correct.
So starting July 1st, actually, we'll begin budgeting, and we'll look at doing a line item.
Budgeting next month.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the new fiscal year, correct.
Actually,
Good.
I believe the policy just states that as requests come in, we can, if there is a budget line item, approve them up to $500. I don't think it makes a provision for the budget line item
No, it doesn't. It just.
in the policy. Now, I'm sure we will take that into consideration as we budget.
I think our town manager had some thoughts about where monies could become from as far as like training, or there are some other avenues of, in our current budget.
Well, Mr. Mayor, the only thing I was actually going to comment on it was more the fact that the policies actually would be in place because you adopted it tonight. And so, as of right now, you currently don't have a line item. There are funding. If you go to your profit and loss report from our treasurer, I'm sure that if you all wanted to accommodate the request, you probably could find funding within that, somewhere within a line item. We would just need to make a transfer or create a line item. We'd have to make a budget amendment unless you wanted to put it within a line item, which would be appropriate to fund the request in. But basically, the only thing you did tonight is you adopted the policy to say that's how we're going to handle any request. If you want to fund something tonight, or fund something within the rest of this fiscal year, you would need to make a decision on where you want to pull that from.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
My concern here is that we've got something in place now to work on it next year. Two items there. If we find the money somewhere and give it to them, other people may come to us, and we don't have a maximum in the pot, that once it's gone, that we can point to. It's, okay, somebody else comes in, okay, we got to find something for them, we got to find something for them. I would prefer to wait until next fiscal year when we can actually apply a certain amount of money to that line item and have that in place. Another reason for doing that is that we're not in as good a financial position as most people probably think right now, because we've got on the books potentially over $200,000 that we may have to pay out, worst case, to the streetscape people. And we don't have that money allocated or identified. That would have to pull from somewhere. That's quite a bit of money. So I'm very hesitant to start doing anything else right now until we understand what our liability is for the streetscape.
Okay. I'll go to the other side.
I just want to go back to what transpired when we invited that team here. You know, we pledged to support them. I may not be in agreement with going with a 4-year plan right now, but I think for this past year, just to be able to stand behind what we said we were going to do. And I totally understand the financial situation that we're in. But if it's a $500 one-time donation, I think we could task our treasurer to see if this is something that, you know, we're to get it from, but not commit ourselves to the next 3 years.
Okay.
Or maybe someone on the finance committee could comment on the.
I'd like to hear from others. Okay. Refer back over to Mrs. Edwards.
The pressure's on. I thought I had time. In the past, sitting on the council, it just doesn't seem like we gave that much money to clubs. And
2 times I can remember. Since 2008, I can remember two. $500, $1,000.
$500?
One was, I think, $1,000. Yeah.
I am all for supporting the schools and the programs and the kids that live in our community. I would definitely be against pledging to it for 4 years. Finding another council, whether it be the same people or the next, I just don't think that's good form to do that. But I don't know if there's, yeah. I mean, did we invite them or did they request to come?
They had came twice, actually, to the council when they were going up through their rankings and going through their contests. When they got world champions and then came back to us, and we probably had 30 kids, and it was standing room only. And they were just looking for their logo was the town of Haymarket and with their seal, and it was really more of an advertising, looks like an advertising commitment for the town. Things that I think that we actually were earmarking part of the meals tax to support the town and the businesses like the restaurants and stuff like that. So,
and if that's what we're going to do, then that's fine. But
well, it sounds like it's got to pass first. So
yeah.
We'll go back over to our other side here. Councilman Cottle.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword. We said that we would do something. I'm not for allocating $2,000 over a 4-year period. I would like to, with the council's permission, to direct the town's financier, if you will, to see if we could come up with 500, enact a policy, and then in the next budget cycle, come up with a number of what is going to be in that line item, and once it's exhausted, it's over. It's kind of a first come, first serve.
Not really.
I think if, let's say we had, there's nothing that says it has to be 500 every time. It could be a pool of 1,500 at $250 for one group, and once they've, that's something to be fleshed out later. I just think in light of everything we have going, and we have a lot going, we need to be very careful with the finances.
Okay, all right. Councilman Morse? Excuse me, Ed Woods? Sorry, yeah, not again.
I thought I was getting skipped over.
Yep.
I agree with Steve, and am also reticent to expend money that we haven't allocated when we do have money to expend that we haven't allocated. However, that doesn't mean I'm against this, and I'm just thinking of my own personal finances. I often find times when I do reach in and find some spare change. Not that $500 is spare change, but I do find monies to give to worthy causes. I don't believe that we said we would sponsor them. I believe what we said was we'd see what we could do, and we are seeing what we can do tonight. All of that being said, I would only, for this budget cycle, be okay with this one request, but I would be okay with it.
Why does it have to be 500?
Okay. I think last, Councilman Passanella.
Yeah. Okay, as I said at our meeting on Monday, I think we can find the money. I mean, $500 on $200,000, I mean, that's not even a blip. But I'm not trying to be dismissive of that. Just trying to be relative and put it into perspective. I guess my question is, what's the benefit that we gain? And we've talked about this quite a bit. There's a benefit of supporting those who support us. If I'm not mistaken, I would think that a number of those kids, either maybe not from our community, but also participate in buying things in our community and going to our stores and visiting our shops. So there is a consideration there that it's a virtuous cycle, so to speak. But from the benefit that the town might reap over this is the advertising. And, perhaps, Mr. Mayor, you can speak a little bit more about that, because I think that was part of the discussion. I do have one question, though, for council, and I think council had said on Monday night there might have been some type of a prohibition. I just need clarity on that, if you could. There was something you may have mentioned about a prohibition on this type of action outside town, or?
You can only give money to charities that serve the citizens of the town. They don't have to serve solely the citizens of the town. They can serve people from inside and outside of the town, both.
Right.
But they do have to serve folks inside the town.
Okay.
So if another school outside came and asked me to do it.
But they are a school outside of our limits.
No, that's not what I meant.
Two quick things.
Okay.
I would not support going forward with the first come, first serve. I think it would be on a basis of us evaluating the need. And secondly, I believe that if any of us, if our middle school child was on this team, this would not be such a long discussion.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think everyone had a chance to, so I'll entertain a motion at this point. I think the math might be there, and with a roll call vote, if, Mr. Morris, if you wanted to.
Yes, I move to approve the special funding request.
In the amount of?
In the amount of $500 for this year, and to be able to assist the Reagan Middle School Archery Club.
Okay. And the only thing we might need to add to that for the line item or funding to be for the treasurer's.
Pending the treasurer's.
Right.
Yeah. We'll have to come back and amend the budget, but that would be an amendment we bring to you at the next council.
All right. So we'll take the motion as it stands. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, second. Discussion, any further discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Ms.
Because
Councilwoman.
they asked for $500. Do we have to give them $500?
They asked for 2,000.
No, they asked for 500 over 4 years. So in the end, but I'm saying, When my kids used to come ask me for money, they asked for a lot, but I never gave them what they asked for.
Right.
We can give them anything you want.
Just saying.
Make another motion if you want to. But my motion is on the floor.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So any other further discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Morris.
Yes.
Edwards.
No.
Woods. Yes. Cottle.
Yes.
Casanello.
Yes.
Aiken.
No.
Motion carries. All right. Thank you all very much. Our next item, our town center facade improvements. Marchant, you're up.
Okay. First of all, the graphics in your packet, the roof is not red.
Yeah.
We're not looking at another
It looks
roof.
pink, actually.
Or maybe a pink or a fuchsia.
Guarantee it is.
The architect's at a point now where he needs to finalize where the windows are going to be located, where the exterior door is going to be located. So we came up with 3 general concepts to move forward. So we're asking 2 things tonight. First, just some general background, and these are the 3. Hopefully you can, well, I should have gotten the easel out. But essentially, the ARB looked at a concept, which is concept 3.
You just stick it in the very front here?
Sure. I can talk because I got my little remote thing.
Okay.
So, again, the decision point they're at right now, where are we going to put the doors? What size are the windows going to be? So this elevation is the elevation that was preferred by the ARB, and it does double. And again, this is the starting point for the conversation. General consensus was that the door be in the middle. Thank you. That the door be in the middle, which gives the architect enough time to go forward, and generally the windows and the cupola. So,
You can have it. I've seen this 10 times. It's all yours.
so a couple things about this elevation. Varied materials. We have a large building that faces Washington Street. This breaks up the otherwise expensive building facade. Minimal use of pilasters. Pilasters is a term that I learned on, was the kind of more of the faux columns that are on the front of the building. Also incorporates a unique cupola feature versus window dormers. The JB3 building that's down the street makes a lot of use of dormers, so it creates kind of that formality of the government center. Highlights the 3 sections of the building. If you've been in where the very thing used to be and looked at the walls that have been taken down, you can see that this building was built in phases. It wasn't all one building at one time. So it kind of calls some heritage to how the building was built over time. And lastly, it makes use of federal style as recommended by the Historic District Guidelines and the community design lines of the plan. So this was the general recommendation to get the architect started on the interior, again, locating the doors, general locations of the windows. The ARB did have a couple of recommendations incorporating some changes to the entranceway, having a 5-window pattern, also providing a portico or a kind of a porch off the front as kind of a safe haven, and also wrapping the architecture around Jefferson Street. Right now, this was just the Washington Street facade. We do have 2 streets that front the building, so it would be carrying around the architecture around. So we made 2 recommendations. One, that you generally endorsed this concept to get the architect moving forward on the interior design, and that the council directed the architect work with the ARB to make some of the refined elements or changes to the elevations as discussed at their meeting. So, and that would lead to a formal application, which will be sometime next year. So, hopefully that's a good summary, trying to break up the 2 efforts that the council is trying to achieve, and be happy to answer any questions.
So just to clarify, this is a result of the ARB meeting and coming up with their recommendations, I guess.
Correct.
Correct. And out of that, he produced these, and now there's a further recommendation that is there are parts of each of these 3 that we see in front of us that they're looking to do?
Correct. So you have the 3 others. I'm sorry I don't have 3 easels, but the refinements that they're asking to do is one of the other elevations, elevation 2, which is in your packet. This had a 3-window concept versus a 4-window concept. So they had said incorporating this facade and creating a cupola, not a cupola, but a portico. This flush with the building, they're saying bring some sort of porch out, put a railing around the top, create like a balcony, basically in this general location. So what that does is more formalizes the entrance, creates kind of that space for people coming in and out of the building or out of the weather, rather than having these 3 window dormers, which again we've already seen on JB3, using the cupola on the top. And so the only elements borrowed from elevation 2 is simply this
The
general
center
entrance
part.
and the windows.
Okay.
So, and then again, wrapping it around. What's the Jefferson Street side going to look like?
Right.
Was there other recommendations? So.
And we're hoping this concept is the entire building, correct? I mean,
That would
the
need to be a
entire
decision you
record.
want to make. It's called four-sided architecture.
Right.
Right now, the focus would be Washington Street because you don't really see the back or the side. So that would need to be your decision whether or not you wanted to wrap this all the way around.
Yeah, I would hope that that would be the council's decision. I mean, the fact that we've got, businesses that are behind us, it's been a mess back there. Yeah.
Well, you think about
Yeah.
all the sheds that used to be on the building
Yeah.
and the Gossams out front, and the building's gone through quite an evolution over time.
Right.
So.
Okay.
The only thing that the ARB was saying is to do like the rear, like you're saying, that would have to wait until the final phase of, with the elevator going in and the addition going on. You couldn't do that at this point.
Yeah, I would think that did the engineer say that they
No,
could do it?
I,
Oh.
Yeah,
I would
just
think that the
practical purpose,
anticipation that
yeah.
that there is going to be the building in the back, but we should be able to see all 4 sides.
Correct.
with-
I think he wanted to get enough of a concept going before, it was being prudent with the process before he spent more money refining these concepts. If you're generally comfortable
Right.
going in this direction, this isn't the final product. This
Right.
is enough to get the architect going on the interior work.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would just like to state in conversations with our architect, John Hetzel, I've never gotten any impression that he thought it would not be anything that would be all-inclusive of the entire building.
Right.
There are some parameters with regard to the addition that you would need to have a site plan finished before you could actually start that.
Okay.
When we say the addition, it's the addition that would go off here to incorporate the elevator.
Right. Okay. Go around the table. Vice Mayor, would you, any comments? Do you agree with their recommendations?
I liked Elevation 3 when I saw it in my packet this weekend. And I don't have any objections to the slight modifications to it.
Okay.
I like elevation too. I like that one right there. But that's just my opinion, and so I'm not going to stand in the way of anything. I do have a question. So we're thinking that, what type of treatment will be done to the brick in the middle?
This plan would actually remove the brick facade. Right now, this building is a concrete or cinder block
Right.
with a brick veneer.
Right.
That veneer would come off and
then
be a new
retreat,
veneer.
a new veneer?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you go out front, remember that middle section kind of sits out?
Yeah.
And then the 2 flanking sides, the veneer would come down and the wood siding. This is all wood siding would go up.
Oh, it's not going to encapsulate the brick?
That would probably, right now, no, but that may be a cost-saving decision we make later on.
It might be a safety concern, too. I would think that we'd want to get the chief's aspect on it, because I know that was one consideration, whether or not it would be a brick front or whether or not wood. So if they go down that brick veneer, I would want to hear his thoughts on, especially since the police department's in that side.
And that's going to be a lot driven by once you get into the minutia.
Right.
And if those preferences have to be made, there's a cost involved. Obviously, there's labor to take the veneer down and then put the siding back up. But what happens, every time you put a new veneer on, you widen the width of the walls, and you have to take into consideration windows and those types of things.
Yep. Councilman Cotto.
Real quick, I like elevation 3. I don't have any problem with the 5 windows, the little portico, porch, whatever you want to call it. My take is they got to walk outside sometime, and I don't see where we need to spend the extra money, but it's not a deal breaker. That's all I've got.
I think the ARB did a great job.
Okay. Susan? Further comments?
I'm good.
Okay. Councilman Morse? Good. Yeah, I think I'd like a version of all 3. I like the fact of version 3. The only thing I like is the consistency in elevation 1, where it all looks like one building versus with the brick, but I can understand
We went back and forth, the ARB did.
Yeah. where I can see you kind of paying, that this was a history of a three-phase building, and that you're bringing back some of the brick in the center there, so.
And you're breaking them.
Right. Okay.
Okay, well, so we will,
Let me just ask a
okay.
crazy notion here.
Sure.
Since this is going to be such a large investment by the citizens of this town, wouldn't we want to see what they think about it?
Definitely. This was just enough to get the, you're still submitting a formal application. You're still going through the process.
Right, so they'll have their opportunity during the public
Definitely.
hearing.
This was just trying to get,
Just
are
to
we
get
okay with
more.
what the front door is?
Yeah.
Yes. Are we okay removing the door from the side? Yes.
I mean, I think it would be kind of nice sooner rather than later to
yeah.
kind of get their input and
The
see what
intent-
they think. And also relative to the Harrover property, because we're hearing things about what we might call that, and I think we talked about possibly doing a contest or something like that. Let's see what they think it should be called.
Right, absolutely.
Please don't
Okay.
think that this is a way to circumvent that process. This was
No,
simply.
no, I'm not
trying to get the
suggesting that. I'm
architect
just asking
confirming
an
that we are going to go
uninformed.
through.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay, thank you.
About adding length. The sooner we can get the citizens' input before we go down with another 5 or 10 or 15 drawings, the better.
Okay, yep. So do you need any other instructions from us?
Nope, general consensus is pursuing the concept around elevation 3 for the architect's purposes, and then we'll work with the ARB to get a formal application together, and we'll bring that back to you for your final approval, and we'll go through any public vetting we need to go through. So.
Okay, all right, great. All right.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Marchand, for all your
Thank you.
good work.
All right, moving on here. We do have, our next is our closed session.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I should have left My wife is still on the week out of surgery, and I promised I'd be
Yeah.
back, and I kept thinking, hopefully, just a little longer, but I'm going to have to go.
Understood.
Maybe I can call you some other time or reach out to you and find out about what happens next.
Okay, absolutely.
Sir, could we afford the Vice Mayor an opportunity to exercise his council member time before he leaves?
Exactly what I was coming out of my mouth, sir. So anything you would like to add for council member time?
All I'd like to add is that I appreciate everyone's thoughts and wishes for my wife and my surgery in the last, well, hers in the last week, mine in the last 7 weeks. It's been a long, hard road, but it's been worth it. And I've had a lot of people ask and give us their thoughts and prayers, and I appreciate that.
All right,
So
great.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Closed session, sir. Yep. There's like 4 items. Where's our sheet? You didn't give it to everyone? Okay, yep.
Real football. Guys wearing tights, slapping each other. Football.
It's American.
Mayor, excuse me. Here we go. I found it. Sorry, okay.
I'll probably take them.
Okay. All right, so the motion would be to enter closed session, subject to Virginia Code 2.23711, A7, regarding specific legal matters, specifically the Finley settlement discussions with regard to the disposition of public real property, specifically the very thing for her lease reduction request, with regard to the disposition of public property, the Genesis lease renewal request, and with regard to personnel, the CASA part-time employees.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, great. All right. Go ahead and call our meeting back to order. We have the certification.
The motion to certify would be that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only those matters lawfully exempted from discussion in open meeting, only those items that were identified in the motion to which this closed session pertained were heard or considered by the town council during the closed session just completed.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Our council member time. Councilman Morris.
I don't have anything, sir. Thank you very much.
I just have a
Council-
quick, really
Councilman,
fast.
wait a minute.
I would
Wait,
like to
wait,
s-
wait.
oh, sorry.
We do by order. Council-
We don't go
Council-
around?
No, Councilman Woods.
The only thing I have was, we did have a little bit of technical difficulties earlier with the mic feeding back. I wanted to provide a professional opinion that it was the lavalier mic feeding back through the speaker. The mics can be as close together as they want. It's the mic to the speaker that caused the feedback.
It's good to know. All right. Councilman Passanello.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
Out there, good words. Council, Councilwoman Edwards.
I would just like to say what a great job I think Denise did with the, and all the staff did with the
Good
event
point.
this weekend. The turnout was
Phenomenal.
phenomenal. The weather was great. Yeah, I think they did a really good job.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Councilman Cottle?
No, sir.
All right, great. All right. Entertain that most important.
I move.
Second.
There we go. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
There you go. All right. Yeah, we're good. Thank you.